So this is the iPhone 17 Pro Max in Cosmic Orange, and let's go ahead and unbox it and give you my first impressions of the all-new iPhone 17 Pro Max. So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology, and in this episode we're going to do a unboxing. So let's go ahead and talk about my first impressions as well. If you take a look at the box, the iPhone logo is in orange, basically orange. If you're going with the new orange, I'm going to say it for maybe the fifth time. Let's get a counter going. Orange once again. Even Apple employees were using orange today. So let's go ahead and just peel these tabs, because the truth of the matter is Apple doesn't really state specifications anymore. And these boxes, let me tell you, they're pretty slim. It's mostly to get more on a shipping container to get them to the stores more efficiently, but it means you don't get chargers and stuff of that sort in the box. But taking this thing out, I have to tell you, on first impressions, this is definitely a pretty striking color. And while on videos and stuff, it might not do it justice, because it definitely tends to pop a bit more in person. And when I was seeing them in person, I do have to say that they definitely stand out way more than pretty much any other iPhone color that was launched this year. So you can see the Apple logo has been moved down. If we take a look here up at the top of the iPhone 17 Pro Max, the triple camera array is in this new plateau type thing up here, LiDAR sensors, and the flash right there. Now, triple 48 megapixel, that's nice. Also, I have to tell you, on first impressions, this aluminum is giving this phone a very light feel that I'm not used to from the Pro Max. Let's go over here to the power button, and then you'll see the camera control, and we'll go ahead and do the annual peel off that we do every year. You'll see they do signify power logo, camera control, volume up, down, and silent. So let's go ahead and see how this sounds. Pretty decent. Not super amazing. Let's go ahead and boot this thing up. And the Pro Max is the only one that I think is going to have that more anti-reflective look on the display. Maybe the smaller 17 Pro as well. But you can see yourself right there. We do have the action button, and we do have the volume controls right there. You can see right there we do have these antenna lines, and one thing I'm not a big fan of with this new iPhone is the placement of this coming back. I think they got rid of that on one of the prior the 16 Pro Max. So this coming back, I don't like that look. It definitely does not look good from my perspective. But overall, the rest of the phone, I like how it just looks a bit different than the past like several Pro Maxes, while still retaining the triple camera design. But just the separated look here between this and this popping orange definitely gives it just a more fresh feel than we're used to. But it still is not like a total redesign, in my honest take. So while that's activating, you can see basically the only thing that comes in the box here is going to be a USB-C to USB-C, and then you do get yourself some iPhone warranty information. And also, this device right here doesn't have a SIM card slot, so it's eSIM only. So do keep that in mind. If you are looking for like a SIM card slot on the phone, you're going to be sorely disappointed. You do have to go eSIM only with this product right here. So do keep that in mind for the 17 Pro Max. And we're now about to be into iOS 26 and the iPhone 17 Pro Max. Now, some of the key specs that are going to come with this phone is a 6.9-inch display. It's 2868 by 1320. Again, with the triple 48 megapixel on the rear. We do have ourselves a 12 gigabyte of RAM finally for the iPhone, although the 16 Pro Max with 8 gigs was fine, so I don't think you're going to notice it too much in the day-to-day. But the Apple A19 Pro chip is on board, and I didn't actually sign in with like my Apple ID yet, so let's just go ahead and see how much storage iOS and everything takes up on this phone right here. So you can see it looks like it takes up about 29 gigs or so. So if you are looking for a healthy amount of storage out of the box, I think you're going to be pretty fine with this one right here, but it's going to depend on how much you're backing up as well. So next thing we're going to do is go ahead and take a look at the wallpapers. So let's head up out of here. We'll go into wallpapers, and that one that you seen was the iOS 26, but the iPhone 16 or 17 Pro Max does come with these different wallpapers right here, the cosmic orange, silver, and deep blue for the 3 different colors. Once again, Apple just giving you kind of the same wallpapers as you get from other iPhones, and only one that comes with the phone, with these nice iOS 26 wallpapers as well. Personally, I think Apple doesn't do the most wallpaper selection like some other phones, but the ones they do give, there's plenty to choose between. I tend to like the marketing wallpaper that comes with the phone, like so it matches the phone itself. That's usually my favorite to go with. But that's what you'll get in terms of the wallpapers. So let's go ahead and open up the camera and see how that looks. Now, this is basically, I'm in the store, and every time I go to the Apple store, first thing people do is they go up to the Pro, they open up the camera, and you'll see them like this, just taking photos of things just to see how the camera compares to the previous version. As if you're going to get a real example there when you're under studio lighting, pretty much all cameras are going to look the same. What I'm seeing here, though, on first impressions from these photos is that the zoom range photos look sharper than before. And you do have the ability to go 40x zoom now. So that is 15 times further than the iPhone 16 Pro Max. So we're getting closer to that Samsung 100 times, but not quite. You can also do 4K at 120 frames a second, which is really amazing here. And also cinematic mode. This is really the camera to get for a iPhone if you want the best of the best. Now, if we flip this around to the front, you're also going to get this ability to create the center stage look, which is going to allow you to take photos without having to switch into the landscape mode. That is a really amazing feature for those of you who do take a lot of selfie photos and stuff of that sort. And of course, with iOS 26, you get that streamlined looking camera setup. So everything is pretty easy to use, just like before, but now easier with just 2 modes that most people use, which is photo and video. So we'll put these through the tests as we go on, but they are looking very, very strong, especially in the zoom area and sharpness on those zoom cameras, with the base ones being pretty good as usual, and then your ultra wide being nice. And all of them should match up very well, as all of them are the same megapixel count now, with an 18 megapixel on the front. All right, so I want to give some more first impressions on this phone. Now, first of all, this is still a Max, so it's still got that big, wide, heavier feeling than the smaller phones, but the aluminum shell is definitely making this phone feel lighter on first impression, but it's still not a super light phone. But I feel like the previous Max felt heftier just because of the titanium and the stainless steel. So that's the first thing I'm feeling. I also think that aluminum does feel a little bit cheaper feeling, if I'm going to be honest with you. This kind of feels like the older 16 plus 16 on the sides. So to me, that kind of cheapens the feel a little bit, but it does pay off for having the better thermals. So that aluminum case and the design is going to help you have better thermals. And I could tell you on setup, usually these phones get hot. This one hasn't got hot at all. So this thing feels very cool to the touch. So that's something I think a lot of people are really, really going to love about this 17 Pro Max here. The second thing I'm noticing here is that it does have that 16 Pro Max like super razor thin bezels, and just almost all screen look, but still with the dynamic island, they haven't reduced that. So I wish to see that get a bit better. Now, that's pretty much my first impressions. Display is plenty bright and crisp as usual. It just kind of feels like any other iPhone, and when it comes to the core display and software, but with having better hardware on the camera, battery, and a little bit of a different design. All right, so every year on my unboxings, I do compare this phone to multiple different devices that are on the market right now. Let's go ahead and take a look at how this looks next to a 16 Pro Max. Now, on first impressions, the 17 Pro Max, like I said, feels lighter. I think the 16 Pro Max feels more premium. That's my first impressions. This phone feels more luxurious than the 17 Pro Max, believe it or not. Even though it doesn't have the new design, it feels nicer. That would also hold true for the next one I'm going to show you, which is the 15 Pro Max. With the titanium, I just find titanium to feel more premium. So to me, I'm not a big fan of the aluminum case versus titanium in terms of the premiumness, but we'll see how long they stick around with it. They might stick around with it for a while. But Apple's been known to go back to previous things like they did with the Air. They went to a shiny look again like they used to on the side rails of that phone. And let's take a look at this next to a heavy hitter. The one I know you're waiting to see the comparison. We'll do this weekend, so stay tuned for that. But the Samsung S25 Ultra. Now these kind of feel the same on the sides, but the iPhone still with its rounded corners feels nicer to hold in the corner of your palm, with the Samsung having that iconic boxy look. So really, this is going to be up to you which one you tend to prefer. I like the Samsung's clean vertical cameras, but I don't like these rings around it. I think the Apple camera definitely looks nicer with the orange rings that match the body. But I don't know about the plateau. That's going to be really personal preference. If you're upgrading from something like the S24 Ultra, you will be getting a phone that also doesn't have titanium. So again, I don't know. It just kind of feels like those 16 pluses and base model phones with that aluminum. But it definitely has a lightweight, distinct design. If you're coming from an S24 Ultra, you're going to get much longer battery life, likely. Let's go over here to a Pixel device. It's the 9 Pro XL, 10 Pro XL, similar design right here. If you're coming from a 2-year-old Pixel, right here, these are almost identical in terms of the shape, feel in the hand. They're very, very similar, with the Pixel giving you more of a shiny rail versus the more matte look, which I prefer on iPhones. All of them are pretty matte, so you don't get those nasty fingerprints all over the phone. So I'm not really a fan of the shiny look too much anymore, but the 16 Pro Max had the premium feel without the shiny look. Now, lastly, an underdog in the market, the OnePlus series. You can see OnePlus looks like a little bit of a thinner phone, but also not quite as aesthetically pleasing to everyone. Neither of these will be with their camera design. So let me know your thoughts about that, about all those ones I compared, which one you feel like looks the most premium. I also picked up the iPhone 17 Pro Max tech woven case, which is one of the better ones you could pick this year. They have multiple different colors, supports MagSafe and camera control. And one little thing you might note is that Apple moved the Apple logo down, but on the case, they put it back more in the center. So it looks like they didn't really want to move it down. They maybe had to for the design, but they prefer it in the center, or else they would have moved the Apple logo down on the case. So we'll go ahead and unbox this case real quick, and I'll go ahead and show you how that looks. Okay, so here's the case. And the reason I got this case was because I thought with the orange in this case, it looks pretty sweet. Definitely, I think looks nicer with this. Gives it kind of a fall vibes with the autumn. I don't know. It kind of gives me autumn vibes with this phone right here. And I find these tech woven cases to feel very nice. They kind of got that sound to them. You know that sound. But on the sides right here, buttons are cut out pretty perfectly. And not a cheap case though. This is like $60 here for this case. So definitely pick the color you want, because you're paying quite a steep price for this case right here. But anyway, that's going to wrap it up here for me on the iPhone 17 Pro Max unboxing, Pro Max unboxing and first impressions. So far, I like it. Of course, it's the newest iPhone. I do have to get used to being with aluminum again. I do like the lightness of it, and I do think with a case, I'll forget about it after a little while. But honestly, the titanium phones did feel a little more luxurious, if I'm being honest with you. But other than that, I like the cameras. The cosmic orange is stunning in person, and the brighter screen, crispy, long zoom. This is going to be just another good iPhone year for those of you who want to do an upgrade and you just want to keep your iPhone for a long time. It's going to be very powerful and stuff like that. So stay tuned for my iPhone 17 unboxing, which is coming after this in Sage. And also I will be doing speed test comparisons. I'll also be covering the Small Pro and the Air. So be subscribed. It's iPhone season. Thank you very much for watching. Share your thoughts down below. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you on the next one. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.